Welcome to this podcast episode. It's interesting. I've been considering, am I going to name this something? I've just been calling it Soul Aligned, or maybe the Soul Aligned podcast. And that sits all right with me because it's just kind of already in my space. And I do find it challenging to name things because, we're changing, we're evolving. Slightly off topic, but I think it's important to honor, what it currently is. And that's what it is it's not sure yet. But what I can share is what's really alive in my space today. And that's what it means to be all the way alive. And even as I say that, I can feel it touch my space in a way that is tender and raw and even emotional. And I'd like to share a little story with you that brought this out in a really unique way and offered a new possibility in my space. So I've been making some big shifts and changes in my life. And I was having a conversation with my mom the other day. Now, I don't normally have these kinds of conversations with my mom. We have wonderful talks and times together. But I don't always go into the more spiritual or nuanced or magical parts of my life. I have a lot of conversations with beautiful humans in that space. I noticed I also don't do it with Matt, my partner Matt. And, whether it's something that it requires two. I notice I feel very comfortable in spaces where I can respond or there's a reciprocation in terms of experience, and it's reflected back. So she asked me a question, considering all of the shifts and changes that I've been making. And she said, what is it that you are wanting out of life? Like, first of all, what a fucking profound question to ask. What are you wanting out of life? And in that moment, I had a decision to make. I considered, would I be sharing what we typically talk about? Can I make this fit into this conversation? And I noticed it was like, at the end of your life, apparently you flash back and you have all of these different memories. And it was almost like I was in that space where I was considering, okay, what do I share? What is true? How many times have I sought to fit my story, my experience, what it is that I'm tending to into this relationship, into this space, into whatever structure it is that I found. And I found myself in. And so I had this moment where I was like, okay, I'm being called into a different space. And so therefore, what have I embodied that space in this moment? And so my answer to what do I want out of life? The question that my mom asked was, I want to be all the way alive. And that feels really tender. Because there's a rawness in being willing to claim something that is important and is really true for us. Because I'm concerned and moving through the awareness that not everyone would understand what that means, nor would they appreciate hearing it. Particularly in a culture where we value work and we value action and completion, goals, and all of this bullshit that just does not set my heart on fire, does not feel purposeful or meaningful to me in any way beyond the fact that it maintains my life. It keeps me alive. But it feels so dead inside to me. And so that response, I want to be all the way alive. What does that mean for me? And what could that mean for you if that's what you're also wanting? I'm just playing with this funny hair thing that's stuck in my And interestingly, I just love how things happen. There's a starting point, a courageous action, a word, something that we offer that then guides us to the next step, the next place, the next possibility, the next emergence. And so from that conversation, I shared with my dear friend Lauren, and she asked me, what does that mean for you right now? Like, what does it mean to be all the way alive? And so I sat with it, and I was really in the experience of it. And I started by reflecting on what it doesn't mean. So to me, it being all the way alive does not mean holding back truth, being dishonest, deferring to others, playing it safe, pretending, using excuses. How often do I use excuses? I'm a mom. I have a mortgage to consider. I have people that are counting on me. I'm too old. I'm too young. Whatever it is, I don't have the skills yet. I feel lost. I feel confused. And so being all the way alive is not those things. And then I considered, okay, so what does that mean? And I thought, well, perhaps it could be the opposites of these things. But that's not true either, because that's really just beginning the process of living. That's just starting to be engaged with life, to be an active participant in creation and what it is that is seeking to move and express through you. And so to be all the way alive is a little different. And it's challenging for me to claim it as this overarching thing. But I know for me, what it means is to be untethered. It means to have such a deep trust in self, such a deep trust in the universe, the universal field, God, spirit, divine, whatever it is that you like to use or how you relate. That deep trust is so embodied that there's nothing that you need to do. It's simply an expression of creation. And that doesn't mean that we're always in joy or happiness or celebration, though I would perhaps express that being in the fullness of what is being moved through us is joyful and is a celebration. But I can remember these moments in my life where I felt all the way alive. And it is deeply emotional for me, because it's like I know it's not happening because there's a dam in my heart. There's something that is blocking the full flow of energy that is seeking to move through me, that's seeking to receive the love, to receive the brilliance of the morning sun, to receive the wisdom of the trees in front of me, the wisdom of the season. I'm sitting looking out my window, and the trees have no leaves on them, but I can see the buds that are ready for spring. And so it's really unique to sit with the magic, like the true brilliance of what is present in every single moment. And when I choose to, when I drop those things inside of me that are stemming the flow, like are preventing me from feeling it all, I can feel the fullness of life. So how else could I experience being all the way alive than by being a conduit for life? And that just really touches something deeply in me. And once that energy starts to move, there's like this opening, this expansiveness that happens in the heart. and this energy that flows through the body. There's a deep level of trust in knowing that I don't have to plan ahead. That there's parts of me that can see far. There's parts of the universe that I'm simply going to respond and react to. And in that present moment, I can make a choice, and there are no wrong choices. I can express, I can move, I can be with, I can learn, I can grow. And so it does not mean to be all the way alive. It does not mean to play it small. It does not mean to pretend that I'm happy when I'm not. It does not mean that I spend my days, my moments, my time seeking for validation. There's this beautiful opportunity to be in play, to be in celebration and movement and co-creation with humans all of the time. And the moment we narrow our focus to it having to look a very specific way, with this person at this time, in this way, making this amount of money, doing it in this structured way, the moment that we do that, it's like everything collapses, possibility collapses, life collapses. It's still there, it's still happening, but within us, that gate forms again. And I recognize this is largely a product of the mind. And like, how beautiful is that mind of ours that can know and can plan and can remember, but it sucks at being all the way alive. Our mind sucks at doing that. Those moments where you just feel like yelling or dancing or moving, or maybe you're feeling called to go talk to somebody or express something, and the mind comes in and is like, oh, better not, this might happen, or they might say this, or what if you get rejected, or, right? All of these different pieces, like that is a block in the heart. That's a block to life moving through you, to being all the way alive. It's like it gets stuck. And of course our bodies are going to hurt then. Life needs to move. We need to cleanse our system. We need to express it. Why else are we here? It makes no sense. It makes no sense to live a life of quiet desperation, waiting until the end to look back and wonder, what the fuck did I do? And better yet, what did I miss? And, we hear from the dying and their wishes, and it really is always about being more present, more fully alive, being with the people that they love, expressing love, receiving love. And I knew from a really early age that I was not going to be content with pretend. I remember looking around at the adults in my life, not just my parents, it's everybody, and noticing how often they would speak one thing, do something different, and seem to feel and wish or long for something entirely different. It's like there's a complete discordance between what life was asking of them and what they were willing to express, to embody, to choose. And it made no sense to me. And then I grew up and I became one of those adults. Maybe with some awareness that it's not what I wanted, and maybe with some moments in between that I felt all the way alive. But when I'm asked what my purpose is, that's what it is. To be all the way alive, to be love, to be an expression of life, to be in that flow. And I can tell you with all honesty that it feels so incredible, not just in a physical, emotional way, but in like a magnetic, alive, electric, grounded, earthy way, to be in that space and in that willingness. And I spend a lot of time listening to Michael Singer and his podcasts, and I find them so, anytime you listen to somebody and they spend their time laughing or giggling or in curiosity and reverence and making light of what could be seemingly heavy. Like I listen, and he is one of those humans who really gets it. And yeah, his book, The Untethered Soul. So when I say being all the way alive is being untethered, that's what I mean. And I believe that we fear that if we are untethered, that we will not survive, that we will not maintain our relationships, that we will not be okay in this world, that we will be judged, or perhaps there's even cellular memory of persecution. And I do believe that that's true. And like, what a gift it is then that we have an opportunity to shift that, to change that, to write a new story, to be a new conduit. And then when one person chooses to be all the way alive, that ripples out. That creates these beautiful opportunities for others to do the same. They go, oh, wow, okay, maybe some are like, I could never do that. And that's understandable. But maybe it plants a seed, or there's a little spark there. And maybe for others, they're like right at that point where they're like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. I can have that difficult conversation. I can do the thing that I've always wanted to do. I can express what's in my heart right now without needing to know what the repercussions or the results or the consequences will be. Simply for the desire to express, whether that's in words, in art, in movement, in play. And perhaps this concept, this experience of being all the way alive helps us to untangle all of the ways that we've placed our self-worth outside of us. Our sense of value, personal value, we call it back home. Maybe when we pull the dam out of our heart that's preventing that flow of life and aliveness through us, maybe that also calls back to us all of the disowned parts of us and welcomes them back. So that's my curiosity right now. It's pretty big in my space. I love it. It feels really powerful in the sense that it offers power. It moves energy. It is empowering. There is creative power. Yeah. And so if that's in your space and you're curious also, I hope that just this reflection offers an opportunity for you to tune into what it is that makes you feel all the way alive, and perhaps what doesn't. And I'm sending you much love and many blessings.